is the overload of psychological stress in the workplace. If you are creating that environment for yourself or having difficulty leaving that environment and setting boundaries, you are probably stuck in a cycle. Your body is feeling it, your mind is feeling it, and you may just be feeling overall defeated and depleted. Welcome to the Blossom Mindset, a space for growth, reflection, and taking intentional steps towards the life that you want to create. I am your host, Lindsay, a behavior analyst, certified clinical trauma specialist, author, and entrepreneur. This podcast is here to support you in building self-awareness, reconnecting with your values, and moving forward with more clarity and intention. Together, we'll explore mindset shifts, practical tools, and meaningful conversations to help you work through challenges, realign when life feels off, and continue growing in ways that truly matter. As a gentle reminder, this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for any mental health or behavioral health treatment. I'm so grateful you are here and ready to start your personal growth journey. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Blossom Mindset. Today we are going to have a very honest conversation about something I think a lot of high-achieving women need to hear. And it is possible to build a life that looks successful on the outside and still feels deeply exhausting on the inside. And if that's where you're at right now, I want to meet you with compassion and not shame. It's something a lot of businesswomen deal with, a lot of career-oriented women deal with, just with the high load of burnout, especially depending on the field you're in. I know the field that I'm in with behavior analysis, we have one of the highest rates of burnout in the psychology field. Add on being a business owner on top of it, it can be a lot. So I want to remind you and really delve into this conversation that it really is possible to build a life that looks successful, but you're so depleted on the inside. And what we need to do is we need to shift that. We want to build a life that is successful on the outside and also on the inside. Building a successful life shouldn't be so exhausting, so depleting and draining on the inside, because then what are you really doing? What keeps you going? If you're not regulated, if you're not taking care of you, and at the end of the day, if you're not truly enjoying it. And I think many women especially have been taught to pursue success by overriding themselves. That hustle culture mindset is so real. I remember at one point in college, I think, I held 6 jobs. It was go, go, go. I wanted to do it. I felt like I had to. I felt like that's what was going to push me forward. Even starting the business, I felt like I had to go, go, go. And it wasn't until I learned to slow down and to stop engaging with that hustle culture mindset that it started to become successful, because during that time I shifted from go, go, go to no, we're going to build slow, and that's okay because I'm prioritizing myself so I don't crash and burn. Because we really have been taught also to keep going, to stay useful, to be high capacity, to push through. I mean, kids are taught to push through all the time. Adults are taught to push through those feelings, push through the illness, push through whatever life is throwing at you, even to prove to yourself that you can handle a lot and to really normalize being stretched thin. And in my opinion, that's not okay, because you're only hurting yourself in the long run. You risk crashing, you risk it not turning out how you might want it or need it to long term, to feel that sense of accomplishment and success from a different mindset. Because success isn't just a number, it's not just accomplishing something. In my mind, it's also creating that balance. Can I build a successful business while also enjoying my life and living life to the fullest without compromising who I am and what I need in the process? And I think because of everything that we've really been taught with that hustle culture, with, normalizing being stretched thin and to stay useful and to push through, that's where burnout has been more of a normalized term, and we become burnt out from that excessive stress. It's just go, 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 crash, go, 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 crash. And we're so burnt out that a lot of spark and a lot of passion, I feel like, in the career you're in can be lost because you just don't find that joy anymore. And I've seen it so frequently in many different careers. I've seen it in businesswomen. I've seen it in behavior analysis, psychology, counseling, teachers, doctors. It's across the board because that stress can be so high that it causes us to burn out. That burnout is the overload of psychological stress in the workplace. If you are creating that environment for yourself or having difficulty leaving that environment and setting healthy boundaries, you are likely stuck in a cycle. Your body is feeling it, your mind is feeling it, and you may just be feeling overall defeated and depleted. Being tired all the time starts to feel normal. You come home after a long day, you're exhausted, you do all the things, you get up and you're still exhausted and you go to work. You may begin to start resenting your schedule and normalize that. I don't like my schedule. I don't want to keep going, but I have to do it anyway. It's not what I want to do. I have to do it. You're stuck in that cycle. Even feeling disconnected from your own body starts to feel normal. I feel like I felt that but didn't know it for so many years. I thought that what was happening in my body was normal until I took that step back and recognized, wait, I have so many things in my body I have to start addressing. And once I started to do that, I started to recognize more easily when things were off, when my body wasn't feeling good, when I knew that I needed to rest and not push through something. And even not having time to think starts to feel normal. Depending on what you're doing, you're go, 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 you're doing everything for everybody else, and maybe you have a family you come home to and you take care of, and then you get home and you doom scroll to avoid even thinking because you're so overwhelmed. It's all a cycle. And throughout the process with burnout too, you may begin working after hours, those late nights, responding to text and emails without even thinking about it. And being successful, but not actually supported, that's what starts to feel normal. I think it's important to redefine what success means to you throughout this process. Is it getting the next step of your career? Is it completing a goal? Or is it really truly living that values-aligned life where you can feel that sense of peace and joy? Obviously, there's going to be tough days. We're going to feel tired. We may start to feel burnt out at times because some seasons are going to require more work than others. But as a whole, you want to, or I would hope that you would want to, build a life that feels balanced versus just looking at success as a number or success as a milestone. And just because something is common or normalized, it does not mean it's healthy. Just because everybody in the office you are working for is working after hours, responding to texts, responding to emails after hours, it doesn't mean you have to do it too. You can set those boundaries. Just because it is normalized in this culture does not mean it is healthy. Setting boundaries is healthy as long as you do it in a respectful way. You need to set boundaries for yourself across the board to take care of yourself, to help regulate yourself, and to create that balanced life. And you might be thinking, like, maybe I can sustain this, I can keep going, I can push through. Maybe because you were taught to do that. I remember being in those same places, and sometimes I still feel like I have to do that. But just because you can sustain something for a while at a time does not mean that it's aligned with you. You may keep falling back into that same cycle. You go, 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 you sustain, you crash. Maybe you rest a little bit, you get up and you're like, I can do this again, I've got this, and you crash and burn. It's that same cycle that you can keep falling back into. That work overload, crash, reset. But is it actually a reset? I do want to delve into that a little bit too. Work overload and then you crash again. And I think it matters very much when we have these conversations about what our dream life is. Because if your dream life still requires you to abandon yourself to maintain it, I think it needs to be reevaluated. And that comes back to thinking of balance. We're going to have tough days. It doesn't mean that we're not going to have these emotions, the frustration, the overload at times, the fatigue. But we want to create a balance that we can return to and not let our life be overrun by some of those negative emotions. And when I think of what that dream life is, I don't think of being so stressed that I'm constantly crashing, because that's where I was, and it was not the dream. I was exhausted, I was overloaded, constantly pushing through, and my body felt it. It was constantly crashing. I didn't have the energy, I was more irritable, didn't really even have a good social circle around me because I was just so irritated, tired, and still pushing through. And so when I think of what that dream life is, I think of the feeling when I get off work, feeling good, being able to come home and enjoy the sunshine and being able to be present with myself and the surroundings. And once I started recognizing that shift and working on myself enough to create that balance, that is really when everything started to shift. I get off of work and I don't feel burnt out. I feel good. I feel balanced, even though there's still a lot to do. That task list, like I said before, is never ending. More things keep piling in. I have more clients. I have more speaking engagements coming up. And at the same time, I still feel good. I don't feel like I'm so overloaded that I'm crashing and burning, because throughout the day, I am prioritizing. I am learning how to create that balance and structuring it to what I need and what is going to be sustainable moving forward. So I want us to take a step back too and recognize that a life can be beautiful on paper and still be unsustainable in practice. That's where it comes back again to the balance in creating sustainable habits, creating sustainable routines within your life to make sure that it actually is beautiful. It actually does feel good and you are working through it. Some days are going to be tougher than others, and that's okay, but you can build it. A business can also be growing and still at the same time costing you so much. If you are a business owner, if you are pushing everything into it, you have to look at what the cost is. Is it costing you your mental energy? Is it costing you your mental health? Is it costing you your physical energy and physical health as well? If you are pushing too hard and not taking the steps to create that balance as you're growing it, to focus on your own regulation as you're growing it too, is so important. Even routines, they can be or look disciplined and then at the same time leave no room to breathe. You can create routines, but if you are so rigid with those routines, then there's no room to breathe. And there's no room to grow. Where's the flexibility? And flexibility is also a key part in creating that balance. And even relationships can look good. Friendships, relationships, who you have around you, they can look good on the outside and yet still feel draining. So even asking yourself, when you are in that relationship or around those people, how do you feel when you leave? Do you feel recharged or do you feel drained? And then start to make those shifts from there. Even schedules, they can be full of really good things and at the same time be too much for your nervous system. That is a big one for me. Sometimes I go through seasons where my schedule is so full, most of the time of really good things. I know I have a lot of really good things coming up. It's going to be a very packed few months. And at the same time, it can be too much for your nervous system if you are not prioritizing it. So knowing that I have so much coming up that is really good, a lot of travel opportunities, a lot of speaking engagements coming up in the next few months, I am prioritizing days where I'm going to take a step back and take care of myself. And even within those travels, I'm already having to plan ahead to make sure that my nervous system is taken care of during this chaotic time. Living with a chronic medical condition, it is very tough to go all the time and not have those breaks, to not have the time to deal with it and take care of it effectively, because I can crash at any moment. So during those scheduled opportunities, they're not things I can just cancel. So I have to learn how to manage my own nervous system in addition to other things I can't control while having a busy schedule. And it doesn't mean things are bad, but this is what comes to creating that life that is balanced and regulated so you are not entering into that burnout. And throughout this whole process, you have to start noticing what is causing the stress, what your body needs, and where you are misaligned. What doesn't feel right? Where do you need to create those shifts? And what does your body need to prevent that crash, to prevent that burnout, to prevent more stress, more mental health issues, more illness too? If you are so stressed and burned out, your nervous system or your immune system is weakened and you are more likely to get sick. I know I was living in a constant state of that constant illness for so long, and now, later diagnosed with a chronic medical condition that is incurable, but I'm aware of it now, and I can understand when my body is going to crash for the most part, and I can most of the time correct it before it does. And that's where increasing that self-awareness is so important versus just being on this go, 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 you're in the same cycle, and you lose that self-awareness for yourself and your surroundings, and you aren't able to catch some of those things, and then it's too late, and then you really are crashing and having a difficult time getting back up. So here are some important questions you can ask yourself as you are self-reflecting. What kind of success actually supports me? What pace feels sustainable? What am I maintaining just because I think that I should? What would ambition like if it included my own well-being? And what am I afraid would happen if I stopped proving myself to others? These questions, I feel can be very powerful because they get deep underneath the surface when you are self-reflecting. And a lot of women are not just tired from doing too much. They're tired from carrying an identity built around being the one who can handle it all. And I say that from experience. I've carried that for so long until I created that shift, focused on the blossom mindset, built it within myself to now share with community, to share with others who are in similar experiences. And when that identity starts to crack, it can feel really uncomfortable. It was so difficult for me navigating the shift because I was so uncomfortable. This wasn't something that was easy. It hasn't been easy because I'm used to being in one identity, being in one, this is how I have to live. So stepping outside of that into not even a new version of you, but the right version of you can be very uncomfortable. You're testing yourself, you're testing new skills. Because sometimes even resting can feel weird, it can feel uncomfy. Sometimes it feels lazy. And changing the pace can feel like you're falling behind. And that was a big mindset shift that I had to work through with my business shifts because I felt like that rest wasn't productive. But it is. I need that rest in order to sustain because I'm taking care of my body. I'm taking care of what I need so I don't crash for 1 to 2 weeks at a time. I might crash for 24 hours and it may not be great, but I will get back up and it's easier to navigate through that. And even feeling lazy, if you're resting, sometimes it feels like, oh, I'm lazy, I should be doing all the things, I have so much to do. But then at the same time, you can't effectively power things out if you're not in the right mental headspace, if you're not recharged enough to do so, and you're just operating in that red zone under 20% battery. It's going to be harder. You're not going to be as effective. But that's where, like I said, it's kind of the opposite. Slowing down enough to realign is what keeps you from losing yourself entirely. You have to be regulated. At least I think so. I think there's going to be people who don't agree with that, and that's okay. They're most likely not here listening to this podcast this long, staying this aligned. So I am here trying to share my knowledge with others who might be in a very similar boat because I've done it and it's not easy. So if you have been building a life that is constantly draining you, let this be your permission slip to reconsider the structure. not because you are weak, because you are wise enough to know that sustainability matters. Your body matters, your capacity matters, your peace matters, your joy matters, and your regulation matters. You matter. Success that costs you your health, your clarity, your softness and empathy, and your connection is way too expensive. And if this episode is hitting something tender, I want to offer you this reflection. What in my life looks successful but does not actually feel supportive? Sit with that for a little bit, maybe reflect on that this week. Be honest with yourself. You do not need to blow up your whole life overnight. Start slow and steady. Small shifts have the biggest impact, and that is where true sustainable growth happens. Thank you for joining in on this episode of The Blossom Mindset with me. I hope that our discussion has inspired you to take actionable steps towards blossoming into your fullest potential. Don't forget, the best way to show your support is by liking, sharing, and leaving a 5-star review on this podcast. Feel free to drop any ideas for future podcast topics by commenting on my most recent Instagram post of this episode. If you are interested in additional resources or one-to-one coaching, check out our website linked in the show notes. I am so proud of you. By tuning in and listening, you just took one small, actionable step forward towards blossoming into your fullest potential.